Hello, welcome to this video review for Zackariah Harris Egg Nog on this alternate channel, Anti-War. Well, this one was $7.99 at Mathern's. It's a 750 milliliter bottle. It is bottled in Louisville at Glenmore Distilling. Zackariah Harris bourbon, straight bourbon whiskey was introduced in 2010. All right, nice cream colored label with gold writing and black writing. Enjoy chilled or straight. Enjoy chilled straight, which is what I'm having it, or on the rocks. Sazerac.com. You can call the number 1-866-729-3722. Eggnog with Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. 30 proof, 15% alcohol. I'm going to go put this back in the fridge. I don't think you want an egg and milk product, dairy product setting out getting warm after you've opened it. No way. So I was very pleased with this eggnog. One thing that was a little unusual that I noticed, I added some cinnamon. You might see that in the glass, like there's some cinnamon around the edges, caked. It does that, clumps up. I noticed that the body is very thick. Like when I was going to shake it up and it just went, like slid down the bottle. I said, wow, it looks thick. It's not frozen. I mean, the refrigerator is not set on freezing or anything. So when I poured it, it came out very slow. So it's a thick eggnog, all right? That may not appeal to you. It's almost like a custard. Eggnog and custard is kind of like the same thing. And so, in fact, some of the eggnog they sell, the Borden brand is called Holiday Custard. And I asked the dairy manager at a store, I said, well, what is that? He said, it's the same thing as eggnog. It's like an older word for it. I said, oh, okay. Or an alternate word, probably. This is like custard pie. They used to sell at Hubig's. Hubig's used to deliver these box custard pies, and they were so good. And then Katrina hit, and they never made the box pies anymore after Hurricane Katrina. They were right in the path of it in New Orleans. And then, unfortunately, a few years later, they had a fire at their bakery, and it burnt the place up, and they didn't even deliver their little hand pies like those Dolly Madison type. But they were way better than those. The Hubig's pies were so good, popular all over Louisiana, and people panicked when they announced they were going out of business after the fire. There was some family issues, a family-owned place, so the relatives were arguing over who should control it or whatever, and they disappeared. So everybody went and bought some, and they announced they were coming back, but I haven't seen any evidence of it. People aren't too confident in that. But anyway, that's another story. So this is from Sazerac. And it's a little thick, but man, it's so good. You don't have to add the cinnamon. I did just to see what it would be like. It was already spiced, obviously, with cinnamon and nutmeg and maybe a peppermint and other spices. And it's really hard on the peppermint. And other eggnogs are like that too. Now, if you don't like peppermint, forget it. You're going to hate it. You know, you're going to hate those other ones too. I remember the Evan Williams having a lot of peppermint. I'm not sure about the Pennsylvania Dutch. That seemed to be more cream oriented, but they're all good. All of them. Last year I bought the Benchmark old number 8, which is $7.49 at Mathern's. Can't go wrong with that. Then this year, the Pennsylvania Dutch, then the Evan Williams, and now the Zackariah Harris. So the old number 8 in Zackariah Harris is from Sazerac. Now, John Anile did the review for the Christian Brothers eggnog, but they don't really call it eggnog. They say Christian Brothers Holiday Nog. May not be true eggnog, so they can't call it eggnog. They call it holiday eggnog. They call it holiday nog. But it didn't show up this year, so I said, oh, well, can't review it. There's a Trader Joe's version. I've not purchased it. If I get over there again before Christmas, could probably be going after Christmas, I might buy it. It's $9.99 for the liter. Oh, I don't know who contract produces it for Trader Joe's. Probably Heaven Hill, meaning Evan Williams, or Sazerac, McAfee's, Old Number 8. It's probably one of those companies. They make so much of it. Now, are there other eggnog brands on the market? Oh, yeah. I'm talking about the one with liquor. Now, this one only has straight bourbon added. The other ones have bourbon, rum, and brandy added, and even blended American whiskey. So they're really complex in the liquor blend. There's a lot. There's probably 50 on the market. I mean, I can get 6. So, but like I do, every region is not going to sell every type. I mean, every region is not going to sell every brand, because then they're going to be stuck with backstock. You run into a problem of cannibalization. They compete against each other, and it's really not that huge of a market. It's kind of like regular American beer or craft beer. You're only going to get just a little touch of it in your area, because then what happens is you've got all this craft beer, and days go by, and weeks go by, and months go by, even perhaps years go by, and it hasn't really moved. And then you're looking at a whole huge selection of out-of-date products. There's no benefit there. We can't get Coors Extra Gold. We can't get Red Dog. We can't get Carling Black. It's gone now. This stuff's gone. We can't get Carling Black Label. We can't get any Genesee beers in Louisiana. But that's because we only have 4.5 million people in this state. We're only like we're in the lower half of population. We're in the middle of land size. So you can't have everything. Now, if you live in Southern California, around Los Angeles, between LA and San Diego, well, yeah, I mean, you might get 10 times the variety. Well, yeah, of course, because you got over 10 times the amount of people. They got more people live in Los Angeles than live in the whole state of Louisiana. So, of course, you're going to get more variety because you got more options to sell and less possibility for stuff stuck on the shelf. Does it still happen over there? Well, of course it does. New York City and Chicago, you'll get a bigger variety. But that's just the nature of the market. If you go to Mobile, Alabama, Jean-Pierre complains because they get even less variety. Well, yeah, because Mobile is much smaller than New Orleans. Their metro area is much smaller, so they got a lot less availability. If you go to Shreveport, it's going to be the same thing. They're much smaller than New Orleans, Baton Rouge. Birmingham would approach New Orleans in availability, you see. Memphis would exceed it. It's a much bigger place. Used to not be, but now it is because after Katrina. But you know what I mean? Like now Birmingham and New Orleans probably be comparable. Maybe Birmingham a little less than New Orleans. Atlanta would be huge. That would probably be your biggest selection area in the South. And in the West, the near West, Dallas would be huge. Houston would be huge. Kansas City would be huge. You see. And then well, I mean, I don't have to teach a geography lesson. You can look up your city sizes. But New Orleans does probably get more than it should with its population due to its being a port city, one of the major ports in the United States. Most of a large deal of your commerce coming through the Gulf is coming through New Orleans. And then you got Houston, Mobile, Galveston. Well, Galveston, Houston is the same thing. So, you have that. But this is great. This Zackariah Harris is really good. I mean, what is the fault with it? I said maybe it's too thick, but I don't know enough about eggnog to say that. It might properly be that thick. I mean, they might have made it in a more proper manner, that it's thick like a custard. Glenmore might have said, no, it needs to be thick. It's supposed to be gelatinous like that, semi-solid. So it's just a different mouthfeel, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different ways of doing the eggnog. Now, could you get eggnog a lot cheaper by just buying some Borden's or whatever brand non-alcoholic eggnog and then mixing your own bourbon in it, or blended whiskey or rum or brandy, or a combination of those? You sure could. I could try to do a video on that one day. I'm afraid it wouldn't come out so well because these factories have machinery that can really mix it. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it perfect and have such a great consistency. I tried to make my own michelada. It was trash compared to like the Budweiser Clamato Chelada. I bought some Clamato and I mixed it with, like, I don't know, Budweiser or Modelo. It was terrible. They've got abilities to do things that I can't. I mean, you might be able to do it. I can't. So their ability to craft things are much higher than mine, which are obviously amateurish at best. But anyway, back to Zackariah Harris Kentucky eggnog. It's a winner all the way. I'm going to post a solo review on my main channel, and it's a 94 out of 100, and it's going to be a 94 here. So we've been looking at 93, 94, 95, 96, 97 for all of these eggnogs. Whatever the brand, they're all solid A. Solid A. I don't understand how somebody could do a review and talk about how garbage they are. Luckily, I've never seen a video like that. There's only a few videos for each brand, just a handful. It's not something people people buy it and they drink it. Of course, a huge seller, but it's not something people address as far as reviewing purposes. For whatever reason, I don't know the reason. So I knew it was going to be a winner. I just knew. I said it's going to be a dynamite product, and it turned out to be. I just knew it. Sometimes you know, right? You just know, and I did, and it was. So thanks for watching this video production. And I'm going to end this review by saying, laissez les bon temps relais. Y'all come on down to southeastern Louisiana and watch the main channel, of course. Instead, I mean, you can watch the alternative channel over here, but it's, it's small. The secret channel